Okay, Jesse Quinalty, back to discuss scenario number 2 for SLAB SAVERS, and we're going to look at a fire that is reported with a possible explosion on dispatch in the SLAB SAVERS curriculum. This is actually dispatched as such. So when we actually look at this fire, that is going to be a critical piece as far as how you respond and how you do things. So let's look at the structure itself and what's going on. And obviously right about the time that you arrive, this gentleman is going to collapse. Big thing about that is you're going to do your condition report, and many times we've seen in this scenario during the workshops, you'll be mid-condition report when this gentleman goes actually down on the ground. Don't let that actually get you rattled. We've seen literally people in the middle of their condition report, dispatch, medic engine 1, we're on scene, and they're giving that condition report when this gentleman goes down, and then you hear some maybe foul language or something that you don't want to hear, and it kind of throws them off. But obviously he's a critical piece on solving the puzzle here for this incident, and you're going to go right down your condition report. So with the SLAB SAVERS program, we use the Below Me acronym, your building, your extent of fire or smoke, your location of fire or smoke, the occupancy, water supply, and then you actually choose your mode. Again, 5 modes. Your investigation, command, rescue, attack, or protect exposures as far as determining on what you're going to do. And then the E is extra resources. Do you need an extra engine? Do you need an extra alarm? And really a lot of times we just talk about you need more. You need medical, you need overhead, you need rehab or recall possibilities, and then an extra engine or an extra alarm. So once you got that working fire, I need more, and get those resources coming if you need it. So get that condition report done, get your 360 in, and on this one, you might not even be able to get a 360 based on what's going on, and your patient care is going to be the priority. And so maybe you're not even assuming command. You're going to go right to patient care and passing command to the next in resource. Your patient that is down, it's going to go right into your life profile. But before we talk to the life profile, let's talk about the safety profile. Your safety profile on this, the first and foremost thing right off the bat is just the explosion itself. You don't know what actually caused that explosion. Is this a drug lab at the residence? Was there a gas line explosion? Was there hazardous materials involved? Were they working on a gasoline motor inside the house? I mean, there's so many opportunities or so many reasons why you can have this explosion, but it's definitely going to play into your safety profile because that is going to affect your situation. And you want to mitigate that. Just like we talked about with any hazard when you do the slab, if you can trap, avoid, mitigate those hazards, that's what you want to do. So locate, communicate, isolate, mitigate hazards. On this, you can mitigate that through hazardous materials team responses. You can also get your local law enforcement to actually look into the drug lab component. And again, that may actually affect your strategy. Maybe you're going to go completely defensive based on what actually caused the explosion inside this residence. Looking at the life profile, if you look at just this gentleman out here on the front lawn, he's your first priority. We don't want to be stretching hose lines over the top of him to go fight fire. We're going to perform patient care, whether you're an EMT or paramedic, ALS or BLS department, he's going to be life before property. And there's still ways that we can save some of the property while we take care of this patient care through the use of a deck gun, get that engineered to start getting that deck gun flowing to protect the exposure home and knock down the majority of this fire while you and your firefighter attend to the victim. But that's your number one priority in the life profile. If there is somebody else inside this house, their survivability profile is going to be fairly low. Now here in the exposure house, definitely you want to make sure that you're getting evacuations done or search if need be. But your safety profile and life profile leads to that this right here is probably not a survivable space. Your air track, again, you have fire throughout the structure and heavy smoke, making this probably a red in your air track. And also note that you have fire out on the front area in the grass. This is a telltale sign that there was an explosion. You got debris outside the home, stuff outside the house actually that's on fire in the front lawn. So take that into consideration as far as, hey, this is another reason why maybe we're defensive on here. And then your building profile. The building itself, it could be racked from the explosion. You want to get that 360, see if there's a partial collapse possibly in in the Charlie side. Maybe the whole back side of this house is blown out from the explosion. But the building itself could be compromised. That's a big thing. But for the most part, this house and the exposure home are both conventional construction. They'll be able to take the impingement of fire for quite some time before there is any type of collapse. So you have that going for you as far as your building profile. As we actually go further from the slab, you get that 360 and determine on if you're going to be offensive or defensive based on the red, yellow, or green you give each component in the slab profile, and then you get into savers. Savers on this one actually gets a little difficult because now you have the exposure home as well. So a lot of times when you look at, is this your fire attack problem, and you have whatever resources or group assigned to fire attack here, well, what are you going to call the resources that actually go inside this other home? Are you going to call them fire attack as well? Probably not. So you got a couple different options. You can actually call them the interior division with the objectives of primary search, fire attack, and extension on the delta exposure, or you can call them division delta. And you basically state that they're going to be having the objectives of the exposure home to confine, extinguish the fire, and do a primary search as well in division delta. So there's a couple different ways, and that's what's kind of cool on this. You can actually take this SAVERS acronym, build it out however you want. The search, again, probably not going to be a search in the primary building, but maybe in the exposure home. Your ventilation component, again, probably not going to be doing that on the, if you determine that this house is going to be defensive, which it probably is, then your ventilation is not going to be required. Okay. So walking through this, that's how the SAVERS is going to work with the slab on scenario 2, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you in scenario 3. Thank you.